Meet Will and Tom, two seemingly ordinary men, cursed with a gift of vast knowledge that is forever expanding. Possessing incredible insight with unparalleled skills and expertise. Let us join them as they embark on a journey to quench their thirst for the truth while answering the questions to life's most intriguing mysteries. Let us open our minds and ask, dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Imagine, if you will, getting ready for bed after a long day on a seemingly ordinary night. You climb into bed and slowly fall asleep, having the knowledge that tomorrow will be another ordinary day, the kind of knowledge that makes you feel safe enough to fall asleep. However, what if when you awoke, the new day was far from ordinary? What if no one remembered who you are? Everyone's recollection of you gone, wiped from their memories. How would you react? What would be your course of action? Let us join our two masters of memory, Will and Tom, and try not to forget their answers. Welcome back, everybody. This is Tom Case.
This is Will Stark.
Will, we have a really good episode, and at the top of this episode, I wanted to make an announcement, or we want to make an announcement.
Yes, we.
We here at Dude, Could You Imagine, have started our own trading cards.
Indeed, we have, for patrons. For our patrons over on Patreon.
Yeah, for our patrons over at patreon.com/dudecouldYouImagine.
So essentially what we're doing is we've decided we're going to create a custom DCYI trading card for every episode of the first season.
Correct. And we've already done 3. We've picked 3 of them so far.
Yeah, we've already commissioned our first 3 of the trading cards, which if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see now. But the episodes that we chose were episode 3, Pika Goo 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 Choo.
Yeah, episode 3, Pika Goo 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 Choo.
And then it was episode
16,
which was
the continent of Clout.
Yes. And then we chose,
I think it was 28. Oh, Snap the Juggernaut's back.
Yes. So basically, go ahead.
I was going to say, we didn't pick them in any particular order. We
picked it in what we thought would look cool on the card.
Yeah.
So each card has artwork commissioned that is like a blending, a merging, a crossover of the 2 questions from the episode. We're going to do a custom one for every single episode of season 1. And the way this is going to work is at the end of every episode, we will be pulling a random name or names, depending on how many we're giving away, from our patron list. And if your name is pulled, we're going to mail you out one of these trading cards. And we're hoping that some of you end up collecting them all.
Yeah, I am very, very excited on how these came out. They look wonderful. I thought that the artwork, each one has like a different style to them.
Yes, yeah. It's been really fun coming up with the ideas for the art.
Yes, exactly. And I thought we did have very good ideas to blend each question of each episode together.
Yeah.
If you're interested in looking at these artwork pieces, you can go to our Instagram at dude_could-you-imagine, or even on our Twitter at DCYimagine. I posted them there so that all of you can see, even on the Discord as well.
And so I believe the giveaway is not going to start this episode yet because we have the art pieces commissioned, but we haven't got the cards printed yet.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure we get a good place that'll print high quality good cards.
So once the cards are printed, we'll announce it, and then that episode we'll begin doing the random drawings for our patrons. And we'll be doing it on episodes moving forward for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, exactly. If you're interested on being able to win one of these cards, don't forget, go over to patreon.com/dudecouldYouImagine. And now let's go to the first question, Will.
All right, let's hear it.
This episode is going to be a little different. The first one's going to be a question.
Okay, yes.
And then our second one, we're going to finally do that review of the movie.
Oh, yeah. So I think it was in episode 40...
Wow,
it was in the 40s.
I can't even remember. 40.
It was like our second to the last episode or something like that. Hawaii 2 redo. We talked about being reborn
42.
as a baby. It was 42. Yeah. We talked about being reborn as a baby, and then I mentioned that there's a movie that's about the same premise.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that movie.
It's a movie called Birth, made in 2004, starring Nicole Kidman. We watched the movie, guys, and we're going to review it today, but after our first question.
Yeah, after the first question.
So go ahead.
First question is, Will, what if you woke up
This one.
and nobody knew who you were?
Oh, this one. Okay, this was a question I proposed.
Yeah,
All right.
this is a Will question here.
All right, give me parameters.
So the parameters are you fall asleep one night, right?
Okay.
The night prior, everything's
fine and
peachy
normal.
keen, fine and normal.
Yeah.
You're probably, I imagine you're working on podcast stuff.
As always. It never ends.
Maybe researching odd facts that you keep locked up in your brain, to be used on one of our episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get tired and you go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way you wake up is you wake up to a screaming woman
Oh, no.
who you think is your fiance.
Okay.
Or who you know is your fiance.
Yeah, sure.
However, she is screaming bloody murder because she does not know who you are.
Oh, no. Okay.
The kids, I'm going to say right now, the kids are in their own room. This is literally, she just woke up, rolled over, noticed that there is a strange man in her
This
bed.
is so horrible, dude. You've managed to immediately at the beginning of this question completely
I know.
chop me off from my family yet again. Okay, well, I think realistically, what I would end up doing is I would obviously be arguing my case, trying to convince her. But I think the first thing I would do is I would find my mother-in-law and see if we could help Michelle, because obviously I'm thinking something's up with her.
Okay.
Right? I'm horrified, and of course she's not going to know who I am. And then suddenly,
well, wait a minute. Okay, so now that you mentioned that, okay, how would you go about doing that though? Like,
well, here's a question: where are my things? Like, do I still have a car outside? Do I have my car keys?
So, I am going to say, how easy do I want to make this for you, Will? I'm going to say, yeah, you still have a car out there.
Okay.
But the only things that are actually yours in the apartment when you wake up is your wallet, keys, and cell phone.
Okay. All right, cool. So the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like the basic necessities in the modern world.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I opened up my wallet. My bank cards, are they in my name?
Yeah, the bank cards are still on your name.
Okay. I'll start crossing bridges when I get there, because I think what first is going to happen is they're going to call the police on me.
Oh yeah, you think? Okay.
But I don't know. I think I'm going to do a pretty good job of actually calming everyone down a little bit.
That's what I was going to ask.
Just
do you think, knowing obviously you know her better than anyone else?
Yes.
Do you think that
I could convince her?
Yeah, like as a stranger, knowing that she's viewing you as a complete total stranger.
Yeah.
You think that she has this part of her where you could be like, look, I really am not here to hurt you or nothing. This is what happened. And that she would believe you?
Well, it just, okay, this depends. Number one, you said the kids are there, right? So who's the father of my son is the question, right? Did she just not know? Was there some mystery father? And she just didn't know? So she was just a single mom?
No, she knows now. I mean, she knows who the father is. The father is someone else now.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, I know. I didn't think about all this sadness coming until now.
You never do.
I know.
You never do, Tom.
I never do.
You always want to ruin my goddamn life. Well, I mean, I would try and play the card of like, ask me any question about yourself to me.
Okay.
The thing is, like, if I have never existed in this world, like, how much am I going to get wrong? I guess it's a matter of can I get enough right?
Yeah.
I think I had a 50-50 shot of, at the very least, they're like, okay, something weird is happening.
No, that's very good. I didn't think about you know what? Trying to use all the knowledge, which I'm going to say is still there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
weird if it wasn't.
you wouldn't forget everything. It's everyone else has forgotten you.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so you would tell her.
I mean, I don't want to get into personal information here. But I would like tell her things that only I knew about her and her mom and their history. And their
That's what I was saying. Like, this is how you would get a hold of your mother-in-law is through telling her, hey, your mother-in-law's named this.
No, I mean, my focus would be on her, on Michelle, because she's the most likely one to believe me anyways. Because she always has a tendency to like let everyone say their piece and like, give everyone the benefit of the doubt. So, obviously the names of the kids and whatever information I could just pull out of my head. Mm-hmm. I think I got like a 50-50 shot of, at the very least, I'm not calling the police.
Okay. She might just be like, then leave, get out of the house now or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, I guess they would have to, right? Like I have a hard time, thinking that they wouldn't do that because, there's a strange man in the house, right?
Yeah. I mean, why would they not?
Yeah.
Right?
So, I guess I would have to go. I guess. All right, so I get into my car. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pull up my phone. First thing I'm doing is checking my bank account.
Oh,
does it exist?
Okay, that's not.
Do I have access? Is it in my name?
Okay. Oh, okay. You're asking me. The bank account is on hold now. There's some weird like block on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, this account came out of nowhere. We don't know where.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You know.
So I don't have any money then because I don't really carry much cash on me. Oof.
Do you carry any cash at all?
I'm a zero cash guy.
Oh, so am I. That's the same with me. Yeah,
I'm a zero. I mean, maybe a few bucks and some change in my car.
I'm very surprised you haven't said what I thought would be one of, if not the second thing you do. And you haven't said it yet.
Well, I think I know what it is because it's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to try calling my sister.
Yeah, I was like, I would have totally thought you would have been like, my second focus is needing to convince my sister.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna start calling people I know, right? Yeah. So first thing I'm gonna do is call Christina, and obviously she's gonna give me like, who the fuck are you?
Oh yeah, okay, so
are the numbers in my contact list? That's a question.
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting.
So you've already explained of what your fiance's reaction and personality is that you would think how she would react to such a situation. Okay, how's your sister? Like, is she more like on the side of I am not trusting anything you say? I don't know you. I'm not even going to give you the chance. Like, or like opposite of your fiance? Or do you think like?
I think she would just be like, "What the fuck?" Like she would listen because she would find the mystery intriguing.
Okay.
But like, my question is like, does she still have a brother in this world, or did I just never exist?
No, I'm gonna say you just never existed. She was an only child in this.
I would be very curious to know how different her life would be. You know what I mean? Considering all the stuff we went through as kids.
I'm going to say, almost everything was exactly the same. It's just that everybody just doesn't remember you.
So you're saying I don't fucking matter, Tom?
No,
I'm just kidding.
No, like, okay, I don't know how to describe this. Like, yes, certain things would change for obvious reasons because of like certain things you may have done with.
So, okay. So here's the question. Yeah. Do they just not remember me or did I never exist? Because if they just don't remember me,
they just don't remember you.
Okay. So if they just don't remember me, then it doesn't make sense that my son would have a different father. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because he would still be my son. It's just no one remembers.
I know. I would have to think of
in my head, maybe in her head, it was a mystery father. She just didn't know.
I see.
You know
that's
I mean?
Why you said okay.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like I'm gonna have to fill in who this mystery father
was.
No.
Yeah. I just mean she doesn't know who the father is. Like,
that makes
sense.
A single
mom.
That makes sense. Okay. That makes sense.
So, well, then that makes it a lot easier. Mm-hmm. Not a lot easier, but it makes it easier to convince these people that I there's something going on because I know too much, right? I know way too much. My sister is probably going to be even easier considering like we spent our entire lives, close. Mm-hmm. So like she's probably the person I'll be able to convince the most.
You think after a while, even with these facts that you can give, that it would tend to make her then be like, it has to be like,
I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Like, could there ever be enough? Could there ever be enough outside of like hard physical evidence to support it? Could there ever be enough of my knowledge to be 100% convincing? You know what I mean?
By the way, I just want to make a little footnote here, and I'm going to say that you probably already are starting to make some connections between the next question. What we're going to talk about the next one,
I did.
And this one because they do connect in a way, and that's why I kind of wanted to use this question.
Okay, there's a similarity here.
So for our listeners, when you listen to us talk on the next segment, just remember this part about what we're trying to explain here, because it would be very difficult.
So it'd be extremely difficult. I think the thing is, like, I don't know if I'd be able to convince my sister that she has a brother because that might be just too weird. And she might I don't think she would be interested in having some random person in her life, even if they do know all this other stuff. I think I have a much better shot of working my way back in with my at-home family because obviously she's a single mom. Obviously we still have all these things in common that we have in common. I would probably be able to convince her to like give me the time of day. You know what I mean? I'd have to pull what is it in Guardians of the Galaxy 3? What Star-Lord's gonna have to do? Basically, make the same woman fall in love with him. Again. That's what I'm gonna have to do, basically. I guess it's probably going to be points in my favor that like there's a man who's willing to help a single mom with 2 kids. You know what I mean?
I was just gonna bring this up. That would be such an awkward conversation, and I don't think this is where you're gonna go with it. But like in my head, when you first said that, I was thinking like, oh, like, hey, look. You're a single mom. I'm a single guy.
No,
like, you know what I mean?
no,
like,
it's not gonna be like that.
Like where you're gonna be like, look, just let me sleep on the couch for a few nights, and we'll see where it goes from there.
No, not like that. That being said, like that's a problem for that I could probably resolve over time.
Yeah.
So long as I don't like mess it up in such a way where she's like, don't fucking contact me or I'm going to call the police, right? I think I can manage to navigate the conversation and not go that way. I mean, who knows? Maybe I fuck it up.
Just as long as you don't start going like, oh, what else can I tell you? You wear these kind of underwear. And then she's going to be like, you creep. You've been spying on me.
Yeah. I think, that's the first problem, though, is where I'm going to sleep.
Well, I was just about to say, I'm glad I gave you your car.
Indeed.
I was going to say, I'm glad I gave you your car.
The problem is I don't have a job.
And money.
I have an ID card, right? It's in my wallet.
You do have an ID card.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to try to see.
What's going to suck is, like, right now it's valid. When it becomes invalid, I don't think I'll be able to get another one because I'm not in any system anywhere.
And if you, for whatever reason, maybe get pulled over by the cops or something happens, they're going to run it and it's going to say it's like a fake one or something.
Which, that could happen. Hopefully that doesn't. But yeah, finding a place to sleep, finding a job is going to be difficult.
You would have to find something that's like under the table. You know
that would be after my ID stops working, probably. I would imagine, right? Well, my Social Security wouldn't work, huh?
No, like that's what I'm saying. Like anytime your IDs would be ran by anything, it's going to come up like just like your bank account. It's on a hold or it's canceled or something's wrong with it. You know,
I'd start a podcast, Tom. The man at a time.
Okay,
or whatever.
Okay. Would you try contacting me at some point?
I mean, I love you, Tom, but you're pretty low on my priority list of trying to convince.
You're like, Tom, you remember we do that podcast? I'm like, I don't know. I do have a podcast. And I was like,
where you just pose questions to yourself.
Yeah. Or I'm like, it's me and my friend Bill.
Oh no, that'd be worse.
You've never heard it. It's called Gentlemen. Have you ever thought of this?
Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't even know because where am I gonna sleep? I got the car.
Well, you got the car.
So I'm gonna sleep in the car.
Sleeping, yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna need money and food, and I don't even know where I would begin to look for a place to pay me under the table.
The only things I could think of would be certain construction sites. You'd probably have to.
I hate construction. Like, we've had this conversation.
I know, but like you'd have to somehow panhandle yourself out to like, like to do something to where you like they don't need that. They be like, hey, look, I'll pay you $50 if you move this scrap of metal over from here to there. You know what I mean, or something. You know what I mean, like. I mean, either that or the only other, and I don't even think this works like this anymore. Like back in my day, all the movies that I used to watch, it made it look simple for people who didn't have a normal job, people who got paid under the table. They made it seem a little similar. I mean, they made it seem very easy by like, you can go find a work as a dishwasher, or you can go like in construction, or you can go in a whole bunch of different styles of jobs. I probably
would be able to find something, but it would be very minimum wage or below, and which leads me to the issue of not being able to help support the theoretical family I'm trying to like attach myself to. The problem with this question for me is that there is no solution there's no finding my way back. There's no, because at this point, I think what I believe at this point is that I've slipped into a parallel dimension where I didn't exist for some reason. But wait, where did the kid come from? You know what I mean?
I know. There would only be one other thing that in my head that would pop up. And I actually kind of just quickly kind of looked on the internet real quick, the mighty Google, right?
Yeah.
There was this weird case of mass amnesia that happened, and it scared the local authorities, obviously, and with the scientists in the area and other areas that were like researching why this was happening.
Yeah.
And they found out it was massive drug use. So
just heroin everywhere.
Actually, it was opium, and but I was saying like the only thing that I would think, other than like maybe a parallel dimension type of thing, would be like if some kind of a weird drug got in the water system that they all got exposed to and somehow I didn't.
Well, you know what?
No,
okay. This actually just changed everything because we said that it's not that I didn't exist, it's that no one remembers. All the electronic stuff would still exist, right? So like for instance, like I would still be in the computer systems at the DMV. Like I would still be a listed employee at where we work, but it would be bizarre because it'd be like no one remembers this guy, but he's in the system.
Yeah.
And like,
know what? That
we've been
would be
paying him
weird.
for this many years.
Oh, that
and
would be weird. That would be such a mystery.
Or like, what about the podcasts? You know what I mean? Like, there's a paper trail. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They exist.
That would be weird.
Like, if everyone forgot, like, this would turn into
like people from our listeners would probably be writing into me right now. Like they'd be writing and going like, Tom, it is weird. Why were you always talking to someone named Will? And like, who's Will?
Yeah, who's
and
Will?
I would be like, I don't know, but you're right. All these episodes have a Will in them, and I don't know who this Will is.
That would be. I don't see now. It's everyone else's problem, not my problem.
Yeah, I don't know. But you know what though? Like almost just like your sister, I can't. Oh my god, a mystery like bothers me to no end.
Yeah.
Like I have to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would because that would be weird. I figured that our work would probably come to me at some point and be like, so we've been contacted by someone who's claiming his name is Will Stark. And he says he works here. When we looked at our records, it does show that he works here, but it says that he was a night manager like you, Tom, and he worked here at your property. Mm-hmm. And I would be like, really? I was like, because I run this podcast and people were saying the same thing. I don't remember anyone by the name of Will.
Right,
you know?
right.
I guess if that happened, I would just think I'd worked alone.
This turns into a huge news story.
Yeah, that would be
because there's just way too much evidence, and no one remembers this guy, but here he is, and according to all the evidence we have, he existed this whole time, but no one remembers him. His own mother doesn't remember him.
Yeah,
like, no one remembers him. I would become a study. There would just be all kinds of stuff. So in the end, I become rich and famous.
They would call. I know, like they'd probably call you the man that.
The world forgot.
The world forgot. Yeah,
the man that the world forgot.
Wow, that would be so weird. Oh my god, I could not stay away from that.
Yeah,
I would do such a huge deep dive on this. Like,
yeah, I mean, I mean, if it got to that level, like, yeah, I probably would be like people would know about the scenario, right? And I could probably write a book or a podcast or whatever. But I think the most difficult part would be I would probably lose my relationship with like people like my sister, you know what I mean? Or it's not like with my fiance, like I could rekindle, for me it'd be rekindling, for her it would be new, a romantic relationship theoretically, right? But like I don't think you can like what's the word I'm looking for? Not formulate, but like, you know, create the bond of like family.
Oh yeah, you couldn't like recreate that?
Yeah, you can't recreate
that all
it.
Came through time and experiences.
Exactly, right? Exactly.
She wouldn't remember any of those.
Exactly. Yes. So like,
man.
I would lose that for sure.
That would suck.
It would suck,
I'm
but
sorry,
I mean,
Will.
yeah,
I mean,
it's okay. Like, honestly, there have been worse fates on this show than this. This is like a 50-50 bad and good. So, yeah, I mean that we just went through the best case scenario. Like, there's a lot of things that could have happened along this way that completely make it go south, and none of the good things that we just said happened.
Like who knows? Like if she really did have that quick, like, no, I don't know who you are. I'm calling the police.
And then next thing you know, I'm in jail and you know in prison, and then like none of it gets exposed because I'm just some fucking weirdo who got broken entered, and it just turns into this whole thing. You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
and they you know a lot of there's a lot of times when stuff like that happens and people are very dismissive because they don't want to know. They just want you to be gone. They don't want to look into it.
Yeah,
they're busy with their own thing. And yeah, if that happened to you, they might just be like, he's probably some crazy guy on drugs, whatever. Okay, now put him in the asylum after he serves his time or whatever it is.
I mean, that's some worst case scenario. I think a middle of the road scenario. So yeah, I won't say the most likely, but the most like, like the worst I think it probably would be this, is that like I don't end up getting the time of day from my family. I don't get a choice. I am forced to stay away. But at the very least, because I have all the credentials and the digital paperwork backing up my existence and my identity.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just move to another city another state and start a new life.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, there would be some. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there has to be some way where if you finally went through the channels of all, whatever it is, DMV, get your name remade or reinstated, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd eventually, they'd be like, okay, new social security number, whatever, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then boom, now you're just a new person.
The podcasts are kind of a weird one, though, because it would be like, for both you and for Brian, right? It's like, obviously, they've been doing a podcast, and then they look back at every episode. I was there, but they don't remember you. But at the same time, like, for me and Brian, the podcast is a big part of our income. Like, without it, our lives would be drastically different. And so I'm pretty sure with him, at the very least, I would be able to convince him, like, yo, let's keep doing the show. I know you don't remember me, but like we got this whole catalog, so let's just keep going with it. And he'd be like, okay, yeah, like, it's like 50% of my income. Like, let's keep doing it.
I was going to say, like, man, I'll have to contact Brian and we would form a new podcast all about digging deep into these podcasts just to figure out the mystery. You know what I mean? Like,
that's too funny.
That would be weird.
But yeah.
But dude, wait, I forgot what I was going to say.
Can anybody hear me? Please hear me. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? If you can hear me, this is Fritz Frivolous. I need your help. I'm stuck. Somehow stuck inside the minds of Will and Tom. I need to escape. Please support them and their podcast. You can go to patreon.com/dudecouldyouimagine or leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. Distract them long enough for me to break free. You can even leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Again, don't forget about me, Fritz Frivolous.
And now, before the next show starts, let's enjoy an intermission. You'll find our snack bar chock full of good things to eat and drink. Tasty, tempting hot dogs, thirst-quenching soft drinks, fresh, crunchy popcorn. A complete assortment of delicious candy. You've plenty of time, so visit the snack bar now. A tasty treat will double your enjoyment of the show. For your convenience, we shall keep you informed of the remaining intermission time. 3 minutes before the next show starts.
And we're back.
Indeed we are.
Will.
Yes.
Now we are in our little segment I like to call
Echoes from the past.
This used to be our old news segment.
Right.
Renaming it to Echoes of the Past. And just as we had talked about earlier, back in episode 42 in season 1, it was called Hawaii 2 Redo. We talked about a little bit about if you were like reborn again, right?
Yeah.
And as
your premise was like you're reborn again, like you get a second chance, but you're reborn now, so you're a baby now.
Yeah, not like you could relive your life that you already did. Yeah,
and that led to the topic of like what we would do about our significant others. obviously we're babies, and by the time we're even old enough, it's been 5 or 6 years before we could talk. I think we both concluded that or I concluded that I would not reach out probably.
Yeah, and I concluded I might try, but I would feel bad because of the fact that, yeah.
I was going to say, and then that you saying you would try led to me bringing up this movie, which I didn't know the name of at the time, but I knew Nicole Kidman was in it. It's called Birth. It's made in 2004, and it's a very similar premise of a woman, her husband dies. Mm-hmm. And it's 10 years later, this kid shows up saying that he is her husband reborn.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do any more spoilers than that. That's the premise of the movie, so I don't feel like it's spoilery.
Yeah, we should just talk about, just in general. So right now, we're just going to talk about how we like the movie. We're not going to give any spoilers right now.
But we will in a bit.
Yeah, we will, but we'll give you fair warning.
Yes.
I liked the movie.
Yeah.
I thought the movie was very eerie. Mm-hmm. Like it had an eerie feel to it.
The movie was very ominous.
Yes, very
foreboding,
ominous. Very suspenseful.
Very frustrating.
Yes, I just definitely would call it frustrating. Very anxiety ridden. Like
this movie gave me so much anxiety, Tom. The difference between our viewing experience is really time. You viewed this movie 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
More than that, I think. Yeah, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Almost?
Yeah, I viewed this movie today. You've been around while I was watching it,
exactly.
And hearing me scream at the fucking screen,
yeah,
because it just gave me such anxiety. And like it was I would say that this was a good movie. This is not a movie I would have watched on my own. This movie it makes me feel a certain way I don't like feeling.
Yeah, and I wanted to say also too that I had the benefit of watching this in my own room, in my bed with my wife.
Oh,
I wasn't alone. So
what did she think of this movie? I'm so curious.
She actually thought it was good too, but she thought that was weird. She goes, "This was just a weird movie all the way around."
Yes, the movie was weird, undeniably.
She also felt the same way, like where she probably wouldn't have watched this if I didn't like kind of have to watch it. Not that I had to watch it, but like I wanted
we had chosen
to.
We had chosen to watch it.
But just to give a little background story, at one point Will actually gave me like a list of 10 movies that he thought I would like, and he was correct. I liked all 10 of these movies because I like weird movies.
You do.
I like movies that just aren't your normal movie. You know what I mean? I do like the normal ones. I do like, MCU and the MCU and other just, normal type movies, but I love the ones that are like just very weirdly written with odd stories and
like weird fiction.
Stuff like that.
Fiction,
I love
those the 10 movies that I suggested to you were movies I love. So I was happy to suggest them because not a lot of people I knew had seen them.
If this movie, if you had suggested Birth as one of the 10 movies to have me watch, you still would have got 10 out of 10.
Okay,
let's put it that way.
I'll say this. Okay, so I think you like this movie more than I did because this movie would not have made that list.
Oh,
the list I gave you, all those movies, I love. This movie, I didn't dislike it. I liked it well enough, but I don't know if I really liked it.
Yeah,
I appreciated it. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about the movie? Without spoiling anything.
So without spoiling everything, I just want to say good acting.
Nicole Kidman's
great
amazing.
Actors.
Let me say this actually. Nicole Kidman, one of my favorite actresses of all time. I love her. Anything she's in, I'm interested in watching. From her early career all the way to now, I adore her work. She's great.
And also, too, the kid actor that's in this.
Kid, dude.
I know.
This kid, I wanted to strangle him.
What was his name? It's
something Bright.
Cameron Bright.
Cameron Bright was.
I think his name was Cameron Bright.
He did a good job.
He is a very good actor, even at that young age.
Yeah.
He was portraying, I believe, like a 10-year-old, maybe something a little older.
A 10-year-old. Oh no, I'm not going to get into spoilers.
Yeah, but
was he a 10-year-old Tom? I guess we'll find out later.
We'll see. But he did very well. Like the way he portrays this character makes you want you to feel the way Will was grunting.
He makes you want him to fall out of a fucking tree.
Yeah. And you know what? And he did a good job at that.
Yeah, he did.
So that I just wanted to say that, and I wanted to say that, for any one of our listeners that are interested in watching this, just keep going. I want to say this has a little bit of a slow burn, right? It ramps up a little slowly.
This movie uses a lot of silence. In a very, very effective manner. It focuses in on faces without words. So you see basically people going through very strong emotions for minutes at a time. And like you are, and I thought it portrayed this very well. It's almost like you can see what they're thinking.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And the movie does a very good job at that. Like if I were to, I don't usually judge movies like based off like their. You're more of a movie guy than I am. I'm more of a story person. For me, the most important thing of a movie, for me, is plot, narrative, et cetera, et cetera. One of the major strengths of this movie is kind of outside of that, and that's this cinematographic like focus on emotion.
Yeah.
And it does a phenomenal job, and it's beautiful art, and it's not normally something that I look for in a movie, but it was there and it was good.
Exactly, because a lot of movies don't use that.
No, not at all.
They chose to move it, and they mastered it. I thought they did a very well job of doing that.
Absolutely.
So
we should kind of pull up the stats of this movie. Like, I'm curious, like who directed it? We should probably like say that, and also how well did it do? What's its IMDb rating? Let's pull this up.
Okay, so the movie Birth was in 2004. It's a drama mystery. It's 1 hour and 40 minutes long. The IMDb score is 6.2 out of 10, 38% from Rotten Tomatoes.
I'd give it a 6.4, personally.
Yeah. 74% of Google users like this movie. It was directed by Jonathan Glazer.
Okay.
The cinematography was by Harris Savides. The release date was October 29th of 2004.
Okay.
Actually, it got nominated. There was nominations for this movie. Golden Globe Award for Best Actress for Nicole Kidman.
Mm-hmm.
And for motion picture and drama. Yeah, and it's just, I thought all around, I thought it was a good movie.
Okay.
It's definitely not your normal run-of-the-mill movie.
Definitely not. So are we ready for the spoiler review?
Yes. Okay. Warning, everyone. What we're about to talk about this movie will reveal spoilers.
Okay, Dom, let's try and do like a synopsis based off memory, if we will. We'll go through the movie kind of stage by stage.
Mm-hmm.
So the first scene in this movie was, well, first we get kind of an audio bite.
Yeah.
And the audio bite is a man saying something along the lines of like, I'm a man of science, but if my wife died and a bird came to me and spoke to me and said that she was Anna, like, I don't know, I'd have to believe.
Right.
Which is the weirdest thing to be talking about. And apparently he's talking about it to his students, so he's a teacher, right?
Especially, though, at the beginning. Like, when you don't know nothing and you hear this, and you're like, why would...
I'm curious to know what conversation got him to that, like, closing line of his lecture.
Yeah.
That being said, he says, I'm going to go for a run to his students. Again, weird.
Yeah, that would be weird. Why would you tell your students that?
But he does. He goes for a run in the most unfriendly weather I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It looks like it's got to be 20 fucking degrees, maybe lower, in like... I'm sure it had to be New England, right? It's
somewhere like
somewhere
that. That's
over
what
there.
it looked like.
And I'm sure New England is a lovely place. I've seen lovely photos of a bunch of different locations. This movie is shot in the grimmest locale of New England, and this dude is running in a place where he shouldn't be. He just shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's
alone too.
It's a long shot here of him running.
Yeah, it does show him running for a while.
And there's a song playing. I don't remember what song. But anyways, he comes under this dark bridge and suddenly he stops. He's like heaving, difficult to breathe, and then he keels over and he dies.
Yeah, basically.
And the next scene, I think, is a baby being born, right? Is that the next scene?
No, I don't remember the baby being born. I remember I thought the next scene was the woman downstairs, the Anna. Okay, Nicole Kidman plays a character named Anna. And I thought Anna's best friend is named Clara, right? And I thought it was Clara downstairs walking up with I forget his name now, but Sean's, who was the guy who just died.
No, that's the scene after. So like,
that's the scene after.
So yeah, there's then a scene of a baby being born. Now I know because there's two baby born scenes, and this is the first one. And it's right after his death. And I think it's immediately going to make you connect that was birth. Yeah. Right. But then comes the next scene. And essentially we're at, what is it, like an engagement party?
Yeah, I think it's an
10
engagement
years
party.
Later.
10 years later.
Engagement party, right?
And it was Nicole Kidman's character is Anna's best friend, whose name is Clara, played by Anne Heche. And Clara is downstairs about to go up in the elevator,
and she's got a gift in her hand.
And she has a gift in her hand, and she's going to go through the elevator, and with Sean, who's the dead husband, right? With Sean's best friend, right? And right before they go up, she's like, you know what? Hold on, I forgot something. I'll go back to the car to get it.
Right.
But what she ends up doing is she sits down in front of the benches of the elevator. They live in a very posh apartment, by the way.
Oh yeah, like they're exceptionally rich.
Yeah, they have exceptional. Yeah, they have some money.
They're very wealthy.
And she's sitting down there, and the one thing I did notice right away, I noticed the kid.
Yeah,
I noticed the kid was staring at her.
Yeah.
Yeah. She immediately gets up and she runs outside. And when she runs outside, she's clutching onto the gift.
Present.
Yeah, the gift. And it keeps showing that. It doesn't just show her running, it's showing the gift and clutched in her hands.
She's like clutching it very tightly.
Yeah.
But basically she runs off across into some Central Park looking-ish area. And she goes and digs underneath these dirt leaves and she buries the present. And then she comes back inside.
In a very nice dress, by the way.
Yeah, in a very nice dress.
It probably got ruined.
She quickly purchases something, like some mirror or something, at a gift shop, like nearby, has it wrapped, and then comes up the stairs to present that as a gift. I guess one scene is you do see the boy following her.
Yeah, it
into
does
the park,
show that.
but then you don't see him again.
After that, it doesn't. Yeah. After she buries him by the gift, you don't see the kid.
So basically, the next scene is kind of the engagement party and the husband, Jonathan. Joseph is the new guy, right? It's 10 years later. She's finally getting remarried. But Joseph tells us a story about how tumultuous the relationship kind of was up to this point. Basically, like, he couldn't even get a date with her until he kept, like, trying to get a date with her. Eventually, she says yes. And after years of wanting to get married, she finally says yes. And now, everyone's there and they're celebrating or whatever. I don't think there's anything else that happens during the engagement scene that's of any importance, right?
No, not during that scene.
Okay.
When me and my wife saw that, though, when he kept saying how much he kept having to ask for the first date and then ask to get married, I was like, red flag.
Exactly. Big red flag. Absolutely.
I was like, be careful what you wish for. Maybe.
Wait, there was another scene that we skipped. It's actually before the engagement party, but after the birth thing, and it's actually Nicole Kidman at the grave of her husband.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And her new fiance is in the car waiting for her, patient. Not he's totally supportive. He understands.
Yeah.
She's still, there's always going to be part of her that grieves, right? She gets back in the car. She gives him a smile. Like, my impression of them at this point is like, oh, okay, well, she's still not over her ex, but like they have a relationship that works, and like, he's not. He seems to be a good partner to her. Yeah, that's my impression at this point of the movie.
He's understanding.
He's understanding. Yeah. Okay. Fast forward. I think the next scene is the birthday party scene.
Yeah, the next scene is
her mother's having a birthday party. Her mother's like in her 60s. I don't know. And they're having like a really fancy dinner party, and there is a couple that's late to the party. Yeah. And they mention it, and it's just a bunch of small talk. And eventually that couple, they show up, and the kid follows them up the elevator and to the door, and basically, like, I guess because he's a kid and everyone's a little bit busy, he slips into the house. Yeah. And no one notices. I don't think
they locked it.
Yeah, they didn't lock it. Yeah, he comes inside, and, like, as he comes inside is right when they light the birthday candles and all the lights go out, right? Yeah. So he's in the dark. No one can see him, right? They blow the candles out. Everyone's, is clapping. Lights turn back on. And in the middle of celebration, the kid interrupts, saying that he wants to speak to Anna. And everyone's like, what the fuck is this kid doing in our house? They're like, who are you? Blah, blah, and he's like, wait. No, he doesn't say his name yet.
No, he doesn't say his name. He doesn't reveal his name. But I have 4 things that I have marked down that I wanted to talk about in this movie.
Let's hear it.
This is the first thing, right? We're up on this part. So the one thing that I thought was very weird and I kind of had a problem with was, because obviously when I'm watching these movies, I always put everything in the context of what I would think would happen in real life. Sure. So the way the child went about talking to Anna, man, in my world that I live in, it would never work. It would never fly.
Right.
If some kid came into my house and asked to talk to my wife, you know what I mean? And he was like, in front of everyone, like interrupted everyone, you know what I mean? Like if it went about to where I didn't see the kid and everyone was doing something else. And then he's like, hey, to my wife, he's like, can I talk to you? Whatever. And then my wife went and talked to him and I didn't know. That's one thing. But if you come into my house and when I'm having a party and you're a kid, a 10-year-old kid who interrupts all the other adults and then says, can I talk to you? Okay. And then, if that did happen, we'd probably be like, who are you? And if he didn't say anything, he's like, well, I need to talk to Anna, or, or say he's talking to my wife. And then, we would, okay, what do you have to say? No, I need to talk to you in the kitchen. No, I'm sorry. That's not happening. Right. You either say what you have to say now in front of everybody or you're not going, and I'm kicking you out and calling, you know what I mean? Like,
so I hear what you're saying. And I think you're probably right in a lot of households. That's how it would go. I think they were playing with the fact that he's a kid, right? So people think he's harmless. And they
though he does look creepy.
I know he was so fucking creepy. I think they might have been able to pull off that scene a little bit better if the kid playing had been younger.
Oh, maybe that.
Because the kid was like basically like a preteen. Like if the kid was, I don't know, like a kid, like a 7 or 8 year old,
it would have been less.
It would have been creepy in almost a different way. It would have been creepy in like, is this some weird supernatural shit about to, like, is this like some demon possessed kid about to eat my wife? Yeah. But anyways, that's not what happens, Tom. She reluctantly agrees because she's just like, okay, like, what's going on with this kid? I'm probably going to shoo him out of my house. she goes in the kitchen with him, and she's like, what is it that you want to talk about? And he basically says that who he is, that he's Sean, her ex-husband, and he wants her, and he doesn't want her to marry Joseph. Yeah. And she's like, what fucking weird prank is this shit? And she grabs him by the arm, and she basically throws him out of the house, kind of. She, like, walks him out, doesn't she? And she doesn't mention the conversation to anybody. Yet. I don't think anybody yet.
Yeah.
And then after that, what happens after that?
I think
he writes her a letter.
Yeah, after that, he leaves a letter for her,
and she reads it when she gets to work. And basically,
it would actually, they both leave the apartment the next day. And what do you call those people that are they called the concierge, or like the in those fancy buildings when you're rich and they pull up your car, the valet people, whatever, the building, the usher, whatever.
One of the employees at the building,
the building, like,
gives her the letter.
Sean left this for you.
Yeah. And so she takes it to work. She opens it up. We don't really get a lot of the contents, but we get the basics of that. He confesses. He claims he's her husband. He has some knowledge, at the very least, some knowledge that he probably shouldn't have. And he wants to meet her at the park. And he says, you know the place, right? Well, she's upset. She tells her mother. She tells her fiance. And I don't think they talk about what she should or shouldn't do. I think, they obviously think it's some sort of bad prank.
I think before she mentions it to them, doesn't she mention it to her one of her friends first when they're sitting in the hallway? And she's like, I know it sounds stupid, and they start laughing about it. Isn't that the same? Or does that happen after?
I think that was her mom. She went to
maybe
dinner
that was
with her mom.
Okay, maybe that was with the mom. Okay.
She ends up going to the park just because she's.
Oh, yeah, because it says meet me at the
place. So she's like, in her head, that's where her husband died. So she goes there, and sure as shit, the kid's there, right? I think at that point, she asks him, like, how do you know these things? And he's just like, because I'm your husband.
Yeah.
And
it's very odd that he doesn't, with the supposed, knowledge that he's supposed to have, that he doesn't say more. He always just goes, because
he's
it's
very
me.
quiet. He's
it's
and
exactly.
Just stares intensely. I wanted to punch this kid in the face this whole fucking movie. I was like, this kid is insufferable.
And I'll be honest with you, in real life, I see that happening to a kid.
Absolutely.
That does this. Yeah,
but the kid says some more stuff. He talks about Bob, who was original Sean's brother-in-law, which I guess I would think it was both their brother-in-law because it's their sister's husband.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So it's her brother-in-law too. Yeah. And he says, have Bob talk to me. Like, if I answer Bob's questions, will you believe me then? And so she kind of gives him the runaround, like, well, who's Bob? And then he says, and this and that. But anyways, we don't really get to hear the tail end of that conversation. It kind of jumps forward when she's basically telling her husband and stuff about the whole interaction.
Yeah.
He's a little peeved about it. Like, why didn't you tell me in the first place? And she says she doesn't want to upset him.
Yeah, he wasn't so much peeved at like her. He was more upset at this kid.
Yeah, like, I can imagine, like, you're getting ready to get married. Like, you're, things are good. And suddenly this weird kid shows up and starts, like, trying to throw a wrench in your
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, it'd be fucking annoying. Anyways, they end up...
I'm going to go make this kid disappear.
So... Okay, and this part's a little confusing. Who does he call? He calls somebody because he wants to know who left the letter. Was that it?
Her husband Joseph, or her fiance, whatever. Yeah, he does call someone, and I think it's the employee
workers downstairs.
Yeah,
right?
of the building, because I think they have met. I think they have seen that kid before, and they kind of know who his parents were, or something like that.
Well, what ends up happening is he's calling, and he wants to talk to the guy who manages the downstairs or whatever, and it ends up it's this kid's dad.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And the dad had stepped out, and it's a kid who answered the phone, which is, of course, bizarre coincidence, right? Because he's like, can I talk to blah, 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 blah? And he's like, he's not here right now. And then it's at that moment, like, he recognizes that it's a kid's voice. He's like, who is this? And he's like, it's Sean.
Yeah.
And he's like, what?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So basically, I think the scene after that is he talks to this kid, basically tells him to stay away from his wife, and then he takes the kid and they go find his parents.
Yeah, and they have the little kind of quick little meeting in the hallway of their apartment.
And the parents are completely blindsided by this. They're like, what happened?
Yes.
And go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so this is my second thing that I had issue with that I wrote down for this movie.
Okay.
And what I wrote down was the way they treated the kid, right? During that scene, and okay, I have to say first, I am not a parent. I don't have children. And I am not trying to condone any type of violence towards children. Okay, let me just start by saying this.
They should have slit his fucking throat.
yeah.
Tom.
I know. No. Yeah. But a few smacks to the face could have, No. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually. But the way that they, that they're talking to the kid, and the way that the kid is so eerily quiet but defensive, where he's basically telling them no. And he tells his father no. His father, after he goes like, his father looked almost at first like he didn't believe what Joseph was telling him, right? And because who would, right?
Right.
And then when he's like, did you tell this woman that? Did you leave a note for her? And he says yes. And then he's like, I don't want you to contact her ever again. And he goes, no. And he tells him 4 times after that in a row. He tells him, don't contact her again.
Well,
no.
So that's not exactly what happened.
Well,
but
exactly?
It's very
that's
close.
I remember, yeah.
What happens is they take the boy to the woman because he wants him to tell her that he's never going to contact her again.
Oh, that's right.
And he's saying, I can't do that. I can't tell you that. Yeah. I can't do that. And so they just keep repeating and repeating. And I do think like it is, there are some parents that's how they would do it. Like I would imagine most parents would be like, if you don't, like, X, Y, and Z is going to happen, we're going to punish you this way, or like we're going to take this away from you. We don't really get to see any of that.
Yeah, and this is what bothered me was because of he told his son 4 times. Every time his son said no, he would just say, "Tell her you won't see her again." No, tell her you won't see her again. No, tell her. And it's like, no, I would have said, "Tell her, son, tell her you're not going to contact her ever again." No, if you don't tell her this, we're going to have problems at home. You're going to be in trouble, right? Yeah. Tell her. And if he said no again, I would be like, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, I am very sorry my son did this to you. I apologize. Right. And then I would take my son right home and his PS5 is like getting the wires cut, whatever I have to do to punish my kid.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. And, and we don't really get any of that.
Yeah.
And if you really think about it, this movie could have gone a lot of different ways because I think it could be very, like the parents were very obviously really disturbed by their own kid at this point. Mm-hmm. Joseph and Anna's family both seem very, very wealthy. I think in the real world, what very well could have happened is that Joseph would have been like, look, like, I don't know what the problem is, but you need to do something about your son. And like, if your son needs help, like, here's some money. Go get him some help.
Yeah.
But like, you guys need to move and get the fuck out of here.
If you see this movie, you know they could afford that.
Oh, yeah. They were super rich. Yeah. They very well could have done that. But that isn't what happened.
Yeah.
So anyways, kid basically says no to everybody. The next scenes are kind of the kid at home, and his parents are much more middle class. We'll say.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
I would even say a bit poor.
Mm-hmm.
And the fucking scenes that really bugged me was this scene. So the dad and the mom, they're talking. They're trying to figure out what's wrong with their kid. They don't know. The mom decides to go tuck her son in to bed, right?
Yeah.
And she does this thing where she's like, pretending like that they're on a ship in a storm. It's obviously something that they do. It's like a ritual, right? It's her tucking in ritual, right?
Like a pre-night,
yeah. And this kid basically, he looks at her like with fucking sad. Dead in her eyes. It says, "I'm not your stupid son anymore." It rolls over. I was like, this kid's the fucking devil, and I hate him.
Yeah.
This poor mom. She looks so heartbroken and hurt and confused. Anyways, that happens. What's the next scene, Tom? I don't remember.
Let's see.
This movie had me so upset for most of my viewing.
After that, I think I remember her talking to who was it? I want to say it was like one of her friends or someone, right? Or no, I think maybe it might have been her sister-in-law. Now, and this was her setting up the meeting to have, because now she's like, okay, I don't know this guy.
No. Okay, sorry. No, I know the next scene because it's actually one of the most important scenes of the movie.
Was I wrong?
You skipped a little bit ahead.
Oh, I did? Okay.
So, and it's tied to we got so caught up in like the bad parenting that we missed. So what happens is they're about to be late to an opera, right? And
okay.
the kid's not cooperating, so they're like, all right, we got to go. As they're leaving, Nicole Kidman turns and she sees right as she's about to step through the elevator, the kid collapses in a very reminiscent way to the way her husband
Sean
died.
Yeah.
And she's got this horrified look on her face, right? And they get to the opera and they're late. And like the opera, like the music is so loud at this point and like it's very unsettling.
Yeah.
And it's just this 3-minute shot slowly zooming in on Nicole Kidman's face. And it's at this point that I think you realize that she is torn in two directions. And I think it's because she is not over her ex-husband in any way, which is kind of seen at the beginning of the movie. And at this point, she has slid over to she's now really entertaining the idea that maybe it is her
when
husband
she had
reborn.
when at first
before,
she was
just like, this
there's
is a bad
no
joke.
way. Yeah, there's no way this could be happening. Now she's like, what if?
What if? And that seed of what if, you just, during this one scene zooming in on her face, you see that what if that was just worming through and it's taken hold and it's not letting go.
Thank God she wasn't listening to our podcast.
I know, right?
She would have been like, well, what if?
I know, seriously. She's just like, dude, could you imagine?
Yeah. That was a perfect plug in the movie.
So the next scene is, what is the next scene?
So the next one I think is now because she's entertaining it. Doesn't she go and asks her?
I think she calls the mom.
I thought she calls her brother, her sister-in-law, and her Sean's brother and wife, and asks them, if I bring this boy, would you at least meet with them?
That's much later.
Oh, I thought she was trying to convince them of that.
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember that. What I remember is she decides to call, and the mom answers, and she's distraught, right? Mm-hmm. So this is where I start getting really frustrated because Anna starts making decisions that don't fucking make sense. And this one, her and the mom come up with the idea of letting the boy stay the night with Anna and Joseph.
Oh, that's right.
Makes
yeah,
no
that's what it was.
Fucking sense whatsoever to me. Mm-hmm. And the idea here is that Anna is going to, like, through exposure, uncover that this kid is just full of shit and it's all a lie and a bad joke, and that she's going to take him to school. And she's going to pick him up and she's going to bring him back home to the mom, and that'll be that. Mm-hmm. I think this is the next scene, right?
If it's not, because
actually no. There's a scene where Bob, she has Bob interview him.
Yeah, that's her brother.
That's her brother.
Brother-in-law.
Okay,
that was Sean's brother.
Okay,
Bob,
yeah.
Right? So no, but I think it's those both scenes, because I think Bob is there. And then they have everyone meet each other, right? And then he's going through and he starts doing that creepy walking around the apartment, like staring at these things, and he does do certain odd things, which even by the end of the movie, I still am kind of like, I guess this was mentioned, right? In some of these things that you'll see when we talk about the end, where he's like, oh, I know this desk. Yeah. This was my desk. I used to work here. Yeah.
And he says a bunch of things that like make everyone go like, what the fuck is happening? Mm-hmm. But no one really, except for Anna, is entertaining the idea that it's real. They just think something's wrong with the kid. And for some reason they're trying to help. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she does have Bob, which is her brother-in-law, interview him. And he records it, and the whole family listens to the recording. And even in the interview, he's answering questions like he knows about Bob's marriage and Bob's wife and their work and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But also, he's not able to answer some questions he can't answer. There's a lot of stuff. And he says, like, when confronted with some of those things, he just says, I don't know why I don't know, but I'll know it when I see it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And a couple of those scenes do happen where suddenly he sees somebody, he's like, oh, you're so-and-so. Mm-hmm. But anyways, next comes the scene where she decides to take him to school. She picks him up and they have ice cream and they have a really weird conversation about how she's like, it's almost like she's trying to convince herself.
Yeah,
that
is true.
She's like, you can't be my husband. She's like, a husband provides for his family, protects his family, defends his family, yada, yada,
has to provide husbandly duties.
Yeah, how are you going to do that? Mm-hmm. She's like challenging, how are you going to do that? He's like, I'll get a job. And then she asks the 10-year-old, have you ever made love to a woman?
Yes.
And he's like, yes and no.
Yeah.
It's like, fucking Christ.
I have to say right now, I wanted to say this at the beginning. I totally forgot.
This movie.
Another word that describes this movie for me is cringe. It is. There are a couple scenes that are very cringe where they like it just makes you want to go, you know?
The whole movie had me wanting to check my phone across the room.
That was one of them. Was when she even, because you're right. I do believe that Anna in her state at that moment was trying to convince herself as much as she was just talking to this child.
Yeah.
And when she does say that, you know, it's like, whoa, you know, and under any other circumstance, like this is, not
exactly.
right. It's very cringy.
So I think that he stays another night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea here is that the next day they're having, is it the wedding rehearsal that they were having?
I think it's like I think it was a rehearsal.
Basically, they were like, they were checking out the musicians for the thing. And the idea was she wanted new Sean to like be present for that.
Yeah.
So that like to help him accept that like she was marrying Joseph, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hope we're not forgetting a scene. I don't
If
think we are.
I don't think we have to go. Yeah.
So anyways, they go to this wedding. It's at this point because she's acting weirder and weirder. Her husband's getting more and more upset.
Yeah, he is.
Suddenly she's spending all this time with a 10-year-old boy. And like, he's like trying to call her. She's not like showing up to things for the wedding. Like I think they're checking out a new apartment.
Yeah, I think so.
And she didn't show because she's having ice cream with a 10-year-old boy, asking if he's made love to a woman. Anyways.
Cringe.
Anyways, so they're at this fucking music rehearsal, and new Sean is sitting directly behind the fiance, Joseph, and kicking his chair. Yeah. Kicking his fucking chair. You know what, Tom, you go ahead and describe the scene, because this scene pisses me the fuck off.
This scene, I relate to this scene very much because of the way Joseph reacts. Is the kid is kicking the back of Joseph's chair, right?
Yeah.
And Joseph politely turns around, and he does politely. He turns around, he says, hey, can you stop kicking my, the chair? Like I could feel that, right? Then he turns back around and he's doing what he's doing. And then 2 seconds later, he starts kicking it, and maybe even harder, right? He just kicks it. And Joseph turns around with a face so fierce.
Like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yes,
look in his eye.
like you're going to pop a person's head by one punch. Like that's it, right? Yeah. And he grabs this child and he's dragging this child across the room, running into chairs. I think he even pushes over the piano. Wasn't there a piano there or something? Like
he pushes the piano against the wall.
Yeah, he pushes
and basically everyone's trying to get him off the kid.
Yeah.
And they do. And multiple times they pull this dude off the kid.
Well, yeah, but he gets him ultimately. He does grab him and he starts to spank him. And I think he spanks him like twice.
Oh,
I think he actually does get him, and he smacks him, spanks him twice. And then I forget who in the family finally gets over there, and they grab the child out of his hand. They separate the two.
Yeah.
And it's funny because what Joseph says, it's like Joseph reverts to that kid's age because he goes like, he started it. He was kicking my chair. Yeah.
I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, exactly. So you can tell that he was so upset that he wasn't thinking logically either. You know what I mean?
And then I think after that, he ends up like temporarily moving out because he's like, I'm not fucking dealing with this. And the boy's still there. I think after that, we get the horrible, horrible bath scene. Which was handled as well as it could be, because it was not sexual in any way, shape, or form. But it basically, I guess it was trying to like show you, how do I say this, like the intimacy level of people who are really that close, right? Like they are comfortable enough being in a room together, right? And basically they get in the bath together. Yeah. And I don't even that scene had me so fucked up, Tom.
I know.
I don't remember what they talked about because I was busy dying inside.
They were talking about I think that was the first time she started to lay down the foundation of, okay, if this is true now, what are we going to do to proceed? You know what I mean? And also I felt like too, because then I think it might have been the next scene when they're going to bed. He's in her bed. Right. And she tries to tuck him in like a child. And he kind of looks at her like, no, don't do that. And he kind of removes the blanket down a little bit and lays on his side and almost gives her like one of those like, come hither looks, like come into bed with me, which was the third very cringeworthy scene.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
And during those two scenes, yeah, you're right. They were trying to show that intimacy level between two people who would have been that comfortable.
Right.
But I think they were also trying to establish the two characters were trying to establish, well, how would we do this?
It's way too problematic.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because it looked like they were going to try. And I think Nicole Kidman even kisses him. Like, not in a way a woman should kiss a child.
Jesus
but
Christ.
almost
I must have blocked these from my memory because I don't even remember that.
I want to say, though, when it shows it in the movie, no, it doesn't show them going like, it doesn't show them like tonguing each other, whatever. Right. Not like that. But it does show a kiss that you're just kind of cringe. You cringe at it because you're like, oh, that's a little weird. You know what I mean? Like, but then the characters, well, at least her character quickly realizes, no, this is way too weird. I couldn't do this right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so I believe the next set of scenes, I'm sure we're missing some. She ends up going to her best friend and her best friend's husband, who the husband was also
the best friend of
Sean, right? Yeah. So they were like best friend couples, right? Mm-hmm. But remember, this is the woman who buried a thing in the woods, so we know something. There's some sort of something that's missing.
Her name is Clara.
Right? Okay. So, and she basically, in a broken and semi-confusing way, tells them what's going on and basically begs them to come and talk to the boy and make the boy go away because she can't bring herself to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And she's like crying. It's actually a very well acted scene. Yeah. I will say, I guess at this point, the person who plays Clifford, right? Clifford is
I think that's
Sean's best friend, right?
Name, yeah.
Played by Peter Stormare. I fucking love Peter Stormare.
Yeah.
The biggest crime of this movie is that Peter Stormare did not get way more lines. It was not much more center to the film because the dude is an amazing actor and I love everything he does. Anyways,
they agree. They agree.
They agree to do this. And I think the next scene, or the next major scene I remember is Nicole Kidman talking with her sister and her mom and sister are freaking out on her, right?
Yeah, they're like...
The sister's really freaking out.
Yeah.
And ready to strangle her. Mm-hmm. And the mom's like, if you don't fucking fix this shit, I'm going to call the fucking police on you.
Yeah, she's like, you better go apologize to Joseph, and you better get your life straight now. She's like, this is not Sean. I don't know what you're doing. This is not
okay.
Yeah, this is weird. Yeah. Which...
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not,
that's normal. Super, like, that's what you should try to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Then I think Clifford shows up, and it's this exact same scenario as the first scene where they show up at the engagement party. Mm-hmm. Clifford shows up, and he says, "Oh, Clara's her name?
Clara
has forgot the bottle of wine in the car. Blah 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 blah. She'll be up soon." And just like when they first arrive at the dining party, he has to tell them that Clara forgot the ribbons on the present or whatever, and she'll be back soon.
Yeah.
So I didn't connect it because this movie had me so fucked up that I wasn't thinking straight. But it's at that point that I should have realized, like, oh shit, she's going to look at that present.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're not there yet.
No.
So Clifford and her are talking a little bit, and then the boy shows up, right? Mm-hmm. And supposedly, Clifford is Sean's best friend. Sean sees Clifford, immediately comes up and gives him like the biggest hug.
Well, I think actually what happens was when Clara says that she's leaving though too, I think that's when the kid was arriving. And I think, doesn't Clara grab him and go in the bathroom first before he gets to meet with Clifford?
Nope.
Oh, that wasn't that part? Oh, I thought that happened. Because I thought she tries to test him with certain things.
It's not that part.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
So what happens is he gives him the hug. And then I don't know where Sean goes. But he leaves the room, right? Uh-huh. And then Clifford turns to her and he's like, "That's not Sean. That's not Sean." And Nicole Kidman's like, "Yes, it is. Yes, it is."
Yeah.
He's like, "No, it's not." And like they're basically just arguing. Like he's adamant though. He's like, "There's no way that's him."
Yeah.
And then Sean opens the door for Clara, right?
Oh, that's what it is. Clara's coming back. That's what happened. Yeah.
And Clara sees Sean. Mm-hmm. She sees the boy, and I think she remembers him from the first time. Yeah, and she holds up her hands, and they're covered in dirt. And she says, "Do you see how dirty my hands are?" And at this point, the kid has this "oh shit" look on his face, right?
Yeah.
And like she's in complete control of this conversation because she starts telling him what to do, and he does whatever she says. And she's like, "Go to the bathroom." Like, and she goes in there and she has a conversation with him. She washes her hands or whatever. And I'm trying to. It's at this point we don't get to see the full conversation.
No, but and she only says certain things. I don't remember exactly the word, but it wasn't like the whole reveal of it. I think she was saying
she gave him the address to go to.
Yeah,
she said, "This is my address. Come meet me here."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Go back outside." And I don't think we really get to see the rest of the visit because it's not really.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't.
And I know there are little cutscenes here and there that we're missing, but the next one is Sean is at Clara's, right?
Yeah.
And Clara fucking rips the rug underneath this kid because she's like, she basically says, "You're not Sean." And he's like, "Yes, I am." Yeah. And she basically reveals that the thing that she had buried, were love letters.
Yeah,
right?
Unopened
love letters. And she immediately goes through his backpack and she finds all of them and they've all been opened and read through because this kid read through them all.
Yeah.
But basically she says, "I know you're not Sean because you immediately went to her." Mm-hmm. She goes, "I was Sean's lover. Like you would have come to me." And basically she reveals that all those letters that were unopened were from Anna to Sean, and Sean never opened them and used them, showed them to Clara unopened to prove that he loved her more than his own wife. Yeah. And so for some reason, this woman had the idea of bringing these letters to this woman's engagement party and trying to give them to her, but then she pussies out at the last second.
I honestly, she was that jealous lover because she did say she wanted Sean to leave her, and Sean said he wouldn't leave her, right? Yeah. So obviously she felt burned from that
right,
scorn or whatever.
Yeah. So it's at this point that's really interesting, just because like you realize that Nicole Kidman is in love with a character that doesn't really exist because like her ex-husband, she barely knew him apparently because he was super cheating on her and was living a lie.
And keep this part in mind because later when we get to another scene, this scene we're talking about now and the later scene combined to something else I have that I wanted to talk about the film.
Okay. So this is shaken new Sean, who is having a crisis at this moment. And how does he get dirty again?
So here's the thing. So what ends up happening after that is, this is the weird part. After she does tell him, he does have the reaction of like, "Oh shit," but it wasn't like, "Oh shit, you found me out." It was like, "Oh shit, I am not who I thought I was."
Exactly.
Like the kid really does have some problem.
He definitely has a problem.
It was like a psychosis that, like usually when someone has a psychosis, you don't want to confront them with what reality is because of the fact it'll confuse their mind so much, it'll bring them into this like panic state, which what happens.
Oh yeah, is that where he climbs the tree?
So then he runs away, and he's kind of like ran away for the most of the night. You know what I mean? And then he does climb a tree in the park, and then he climbs back down, and he's like in the alleyway of like this dirty street when somebody calls the cops on him, and the cops come and chase him, but he runs away and he goes over to Anna's, right?
Right, and she's giving him a bath.
Yeah, and Anna's not there. No, Anna wasn't there. Okay. The housekeeper, I forget her name. Yeah. The housekeeper let him in, and he said Anna told me to I'm allowed to come in here, to take a bath, whatever. The housekeeper didn't know, even though housekeeper doesn't like the kid. Yeah. She's like, "Oh, well, I believe that Anna said that."
Very
so
plausible.
She lets him in there. He makes his own bath. He's giving himself a bath, right? But then when Anna shows up, the housekeeper tells her, and he goes like, "You need to tell him he needs to go home and call his mother," like that, because she's fed up with it. Yeah. Well, Anna goes into the into the bathroom, and now this is where it is. So in this scene, Anna starts to lay down the foundation of her plan of how they could live with each other. And she starts telling him, "You're 10 now, so in 11 more years or so, you'll be 21." Right. Which will then make her like probably 40-ish, somewhere around there. Yeah. And she's like, and then at that point, you would be more established. You're an adult, this and that. She starts to come up with this plan, but then right in the middle of it, new Sean, right? The kid just looks at her and says, I'm not Sean. Like that. He says, "I'm not Sean," 3 words. And now she's totally convinced, right? This is the part that kind of bothered me. Clara had to go through and tell the whole story and find the letters in his backpack and tell him the whole story and get all this proof, right? And then, that he's not Sean. But the whole time, Anna after going through all this time of like, oh yeah, you're not my husband, you're not my husband, and then like the kid saying certain things, and then now she's like,
you are my husband. You are
yeah,
my husband.
you are my husband, and all the way to the point where she's like, yes, you are definitely my husband. I'm making plans of how we're gonna live with each other, and 3 little words get muttered. I am not Sean, or I'm not Sean, and boom, now she's like,
okay,
you're a liar.
Yeah.
What? Like,
hold on,
like,
no, he actually says it 3 times though. Because he says, I'm not Sean. She's like, what are you talking about? Yes, you are. I'm not Sean.
Yeah.
And then I forget what she says after that. And then he says it again. And that's when she's just like, I think at that point, she's like, she fell for it. But she still is an adult.
Yeah.
She's like, she just felt completely betrayed and tricked.
Yeah.
Right?
I know how to answer.
And so she's like, you're a liar. You're a liar.
Yeah,
she
like I know the answer to my own question is, she's emotionally distraught.
Yeah.
So, but still, I just found it, oh, how easy was it? Like all of a sudden now, oh well, I'm not Sean. I'm not Sean. I'm not Sean. Oh, you're not Sean. Damn it, you liar. You know what I mean? Like
I just felt it was super upset.
Yeah, but I just felt like it was, I don't know, a little too quick. Yeah.
So the scene after that, what is the scene after that? Is that where she goes back and begs her fiance back?
Okay, so after that, basically it's just her kind of living her life. It just shows scenes of like her living her life. She was kind of trying to get back into things. Mm-hmm. She's at work. They announce her sister had her baby.
Yeah.
By the way, which
that's
I don't think we even mentioned.
Being born scene.
Second baby being born. And then her mom, okay, so she goes back to talk to her mom. Her mom says, you need to apologize to Joseph and hope he takes you back and this and that. But the funniest thing was that they're in the
I already know
they're into the maternity ward, right? And you see all the little babies, and Anna and her mom are looking through the glass at the babies, and her mom points at one of the babies and goes, oh, maybe that's Sean.
Yeah, like I know. It's so passive aggressive, but I died laughing.
Yes, it was funny, but
the delivery was perfect. Yeah,
yeah. She's like, oh, maybe that's Sean. Like I was like, oh my god, burn.
I know,
but so then after that, she basically listens to her mom. Yeah,
right?
She
does. She goes back and she begs Joseph.
That's the
she
other.
She doesn't beg him, but she gives an honest appeal.
She does give an honest appeal. What she does end up saying is that I am sorry, I made a mistake. However, I will always make this mistake when it comes to Sean, right?
She says basically that like she could never have made a different decision under the circumstances because of the circumstances.
And I'll be honest with you, I totally understand that because
I see her logic.
Yeah, if
I don't
my wife had
agree.
died and somebody did that to me, yes, I would probably be like, no, this isn't logical, whatever. But I'll be honest with you, like maybe if there's enough convincing, I might want it because that longing of like this was my wife.
Sure,
you know what I mean, whatever. Like I would want to partially believe it too. Right. You know what I mean, but. That's basically what she says. Now, this is the last part of this movie that I wanted to say that was to me very weird and cringeworthy was when she apologizes and he's sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this I didn't like this. I really didn't like Joseph when I saw this part. He's sitting there kind of smug, almost to me. This is what it looks like to me in my opinion.
I don't remember getting smug from it.
Yeah, I did. Like he kind of was smug, like just looking at her. Like he was a mob boss, right? He's sitting in his chair. He doesn't even get up. He's sitting in his chair. She's standing before him doing the apology and everything. He's sitting in his chair. And then when he finally says, okay, yes, that's like basically all he says to her. That's all
he says, yeah.
And then she comes over, kneels in front of him and grabs his hand and then puts her like, I know that maybe to some people that's like a loving thing, but no, that looked so cringeworthy to me that he wouldn't stand up to meet his going to be wife and hug her after she apologized, that he would just still remain sitting and only have her grab onto his hand and like put it to her cheek and she's on her knees.
And it was very submissive.
Yes, that's the word. I didn't like that.
I will say this. He probably was still extremely angry, right?
Yeah.
So he probably wasn't even ready to actually forgive her, but he obviously loves her because of the next scenes we're going to get to. So basically, what?
I was going to say, if you're going to apologize, if you're going to accept the apology, get up and hug your damn fiance.
I mean, yeah, sure. I agree. But at the same time, like he probably like suddenly she shows up and apologizes. Yeah. Maybe it happened all too fast for him. Either way, they're having the wedding, right? She looks happy. They're taking pictures. And all of a sudden she has a crisis. She gets this look on her face and suddenly she's just horrified. Right. And she ends up running.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
It was being done near the beach. So she's at the ocean now. She's soaking wet. he's come running after her, and she's having a panic attack.
Yeah, she's
having a full-blown
breakdown.
panic attack, and he keeps he pulls her close, and he's whispering something in her ear, and you can tell he's like trying to calm her down or whatever. And while this is happening, we get a narrative of a letter that New Sean wrote to Anna.
Yeah.
And this letter basically is him saying, I'm sorry, number one. The doctors say that there's something wrong with me and they're trying to figure it out. I'm trying to be normal again. It's good. Life is good. He basically says, I'm sorry. I don't know why that happened to me either.
Yeah. So you never get a true answer other than that obviously he's seeing doctors. So there was
and the doctors
something
don't know
wrong.
either, he says.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of the movie, right? And so for me, the movie is about a lot of things, but the inability to get over one's quote unquote eternal love is probably one of the main theme of the movie. And what I found interesting, and I don't know if it's because of the time period the movie came out in, like early 2000s, at no
2004.
point, at no point does anybody mention Anna getting therapy or seeing a counselor.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which to me is so obvious. It's been 10 years. And I'm not saying you should just be over it. Of course not. But it's been 10 years and you're still at this level of grief. And she says, at one point in the movie, she says, it has never gotten easier for her. It's like, you need to see a counselor for sure. You need
counselor
therapy.
at least.
Yeah, you need therapy. You need something. You need help. And at no point does anyone suggest that for her, let alone she suggested herself. And I think that's kind of because it's a product of its time.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. And that was actually another whole thing about the movie another whole thing that I took away from this movie was that, I felt like she already had these problems since that time when Sean died, right? And I just felt like, let's say that kid didn't do this, I feel like they her and Joseph would have gotten married, no problem. But at some point, something was going to cause this again because she didn't get that type of help when she should have gotten it.
And she did have the crisis after it was all over. So I did find it interesting that even through all that, he was still willing to work with her. So I don't know what to take away from the movie really when it comes to their relationship. Will they figure it out in the end? If anyone has the patience for it, apparently Joseph does. But at the same time, she should be seeking help and a bunch of other stuff, which maybe they never will. But I think the idea here is she was in love with an idea of a person, and an idea of an ideal has no flaws. So she was in love with a person who wasn't real. Yeah. She didn't really know her husband the way she thinks she did, and she seems incapable of getting over the grief. And it's a movie that leaves you not with closure. This movie does not leave you with closure. Yeah. And some people hate that. Some people really hate that. I don't necessarily hate it in a movie. It's done well. So we did it okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it did good. And I ultimately still like the movie. Yeah. So
it was a good movie. It was a weird fucking movie.
Yeah.
Anybody in who's still listening to this, if you've seen this movie, if you do go see this movie, please let us know in the comments what you think of this crazy movie, Birth, 2004, starring Nicole Kidman.
Yes. But dude, I give this 3 out of 5 popcorns. The podcast you have just heard are the imaginings from the highly evolved minds of the extra-dimensional beings, Will and Tom. It has been translated into a format more easily understood by the human mind. Interpret it as you will. Should you find yourself seeking more answers to life's most intriguing mysteries, you can show your support by becoming a Patreon member at patreon.com/dude-could-you-imagine. You can also leave an Apple Podcast review. You can subscribe to us on Instagram at dude_could-you-imagine, on Twitter at DCYimagine, and on our YouTube channel, where you can leave a like and a comment. We can also be reached through our email, dudecouldyoumagine@gmail.com. We leave you now so that you may gather your thoughts, until we meet again, to ponder the meaning of the cosmos and ask, dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine? Could you imagine? you're a single mom, I'm a single guy.
No,
like, you know what I mean?
no,
Like,
it's not gonna be like that.
Like where you're gonna be like,
Jesus Christ,
look, just let me sleep on the couch for
No.
a few nights, and we'll see where it goes from there.
No, not like that.